Hello, future warriors. Welcome back to your favorite podcast. Today we have a very special fall-themed episode for you, if you can't already tell. We're also celebrating Halloween just a tad bit early. So Dennis, do you want to explain your costume?
Yeah, of course. So me being from Faculty of Science, I'm like, what better way than to be kind of like a scientist? And so got my lab coat on. Normally I'd have my lab goggles as well, but this is what I'd be wearing in my labs. This is what I would be wearing when I'm doing research or just anything kind of in the Waterloo setting.
And I am an art student, so even though I'm not in fine arts, I'm dressed like I'm in fine arts. And if you'll notice, I decorated my shirt to have paint all over it. There's paint in my hair, paint on my face. There's a paintbrush in my hair. Dennis just has a lab coat. But you know, that's okay. We can all vote down below in the comments to see who has.
And we have an awesome episode for you today. So we'll get to talk with 3 different students from the faculties of health, math, and also environment to talk about their own co-op opportunities and experiences within the co-op program. And we have a very special segment where we get to play a game called Never Have I Ever, and to get a real scoop of what co-op can look like and how it differs between our co-op students.
Yep. And be sure to stay till the very end for a very special segment where I go onto campus and get even more insights from current students on their experiences in co-op, because we're trying to give you as many student experiences as possible.
And one of the top reasons that students choose to attend Waterloo is for our co-op program. And so maybe I'll just talk a little bit about it. But at Waterloo, we have an amazing co-op program. We're ranked #1 in Canada for the best co-op program. And we're also the largest co-op program in all of actually the entire world pretty much. So that is a huge benefit. We have co-op employers that are integrated into our system from over 80 different countries. So we have over like 7,500 co-op opportunities for students. We have students working internationally. We have big tech companies that students work for, clinical rotations and clinical kind of sort of employers. And so whether you're in arts or health, environment, math, science, engineering, there really is a whole bunch of different opportunities for you, and they're all paid work experiences. So you get up to 2 years of paid work experiences, which will start typically in your second year, but some programs you can start working as early as first year. And so even in just co-op, you can earn anywhere between like $9,600 up all the way up to like $22,500 in each co-op work term. So it's another great way not just to get experience, but also to help with the cost of education as well. So that's obviously a huge benefit. Yeah. And if you're in a program that maybe is just a regular stream, or maybe you're not really that interested in the co-op program, not to worry. At Waterloo, we're really focused on getting students that hands-on learning and hands-on experience. And so we offer that through labs, workshops, field courses, capstone projects, and those are all guaranteed in all of our other programs. And on top of that, we have what we call the EDGE program for students who are in the regular stream and want to build those skills and experiences without the co-op, and even have resources for students to help them find co-op opportunities. And if they're unable to find co-op opportunities, then we give them an opportunity to participate in a program called We Accelerate to build those skills. And so hopefully they can find some co-op employment later on or afterwards. So those are all the benefits that we have. And so, yeah, I think otherwise we'll get started with the episode.
Thanks for your little spiel, Dennis.
Yeah. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Hello Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your co-host, Dennis.
And I'm your co-host, Iman.
And this is one of my favorite episodes where we get to chat with all of our co-op students, or not all of them, but we get some representation from the faculties on co-op and why co-op is so awesome at Waterloo. So we have 3 awesome students with us today. And do you want to maybe introduce yourself, starting with you on this end here?
Yeah. So my name is Graham. I'm in the Faculty of Health, currently on my 5th and final co-op within the faculty as a health and wellbeing project assistant. And I'm going into the 4A term of kinesiology.
Oh, awesome. Nice to meet you, Graham.
My name's Rika, and I'm in the Faculty of Environment. I just finished up my 3rd year of planning, and I'll be entering my 3rd co-op next term.
Here we go.
My name is Arnav. I'm currently in my final year. I'm done with all of my co-ops. I did my last co-op at Deloitte this winter, so I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys.
Nice. And what program are you in, Arnav?
Math and Business Administration.
Nice. That's awesome. Sweet.
It's great to have you all.
Yeah. And then maybe just for our viewers, do you want to just intro yourself, because you're a big part of this co-op episode here?
Yeah, I am in arts. I'm in political science, but this is my first co-op, and I work for the Integrated Work Co-op team at Waterloo.
And as always, biomed doesn't have co-op, so I'm in the regular stream over here. But one super quick like cool thing about you, or maybe just like a quick hobby that people might find interesting.
For sure. I like rock climbing.
Rock
and
climbing.
I actually work at the university rock climbing gym.
Nice. Have you been to
Wow.
Grand River Rocks, like down the street? Or
I
no?
have not.
You
But
haven't?
I've been to a
Okay.
few climbing gyms around. But
Nice. Marika?
I've recently taken up hiking this semester
Okay.
over the summer, so that was really nice. I'm going to Seattle next week, so I'm preparing for that.
There you go. Any good hikes in Seattle?
Mount Rainier, that'll be a
Okay,
one.
that'll be a good one.
Excited to see the mountains.
That's different from the F1 one we had last time. What was your favorite hobby? Yeah.
Yes.
Arnav?
I would say like art, painting, and other than that, like I would say tennis, because I've been like playing tennis for like past 8 to 9 years. I'm like trying to catch up. Like I played it like in high school. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Sweet. Great. It's great to get to know everybody. So I guess we'll kind of just dive right into it now. So what co-ops have you previously had? Talk about maybe your previous co-op jobs and maybe what are the things that you currently like about your co-op?
So like I said, I'm on my 5th and final co-op right now. So my first co-op was as a camp counselor at Camp Braebuff. So that was just outside Guelph in Rockwood. I really enjoyed that. It's good like leadership experience, working with the kids. Lots of fun activities like snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, tobogganing. We did high ropes with them in the spring. And then I was a patient transfer attendant with New Canadian Medical Transfer. That was a very difficult job.
Yeah.
Very inspiring.
What did you do in that job?
Yeah, so I transferred patients. I'd always have a team member with
Gotcha.
me. We'd go into hospitals with a stretcher and we'd transfer people who weren't ambulatory, meaning they couldn't walk,
Right.
between beds, whether it was to get a procedure like surgery or just to go from one hospital to another, like from Grand River to Freeport for rehabilitation.
Gotcha.
So
Awesome.
it's really interesting. Then my third job is what got me into rock climbing. That was at a rock climbing facility in Whitby. I was like the front desk. I did summer camps with kids as well. So that was a really fun experience. Lots of like working out in the gym and meeting lots of fun people, which kind of relates to my kinesiology program. And then even more so was my fourth co-op, which was at a physio clinic, which is kind of my long-term career goal, is to be a physiotherapist. So I worked at VOR Physiotherapy in Waterloo, which is like a specialized physiotherapy clinic for like vestibular, meaning like balance rehab as well as concussions. So it was very interesting. I got to shadow some of the physios as well. So that was very, very interesting seeing that kind of how they work and all that. And then my final co-op, like I said, was at the university as a health and wellbeing project assistant. So kind of full circle, getting to work at the university. I'm on the health and wellbeing committee. So I've run events like the blood drive for the faculty,
Oh,
organized a couple events, and then some administration as well. So.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Reka.
So my first co-op was with the city of Brampton, specifically Brampton Transit though. So I was a service development technologist. There's a pretty long name for a co-op student, but pretty much what I did is service planning. So I did a lot of detour planning. So when I was there, they had to shut down the Brampton Transit Terminal, which is a huge terminal for the city. So planning where each bus will go around, where it's blocked off, and how we're going to direct people or where we're going to direct people. So that was really cool. That was most of my job.
was that a stressful
A
job?
little bit. I come from a smaller town, so it's a little bit of an adjustment having to go into Brampton every day, but also seeing like working there and like,
Yeah.
understanding the different cultures that are there. So, but it was a really unique experience, and it also allowed me to like communicate with people and understand how to communicate in different ways. So that was really neat. I also reviewed development applications from a transit planning perspective in that co-op, and that's what I really enjoyed. I used my first co-op to kind of just explore what I wanted to do. I didn't know what like area of planning I really wanted to go in.
Right.
So I took that transportation co-op being like, okay, I'll explore transportation and then hopefully for the next one something different.
Mhm.
So because I really like the land development side of planning in that transit job, I used my next co-op to do a land development job with the city of Waterloo. So I stayed in the public sector just because I really like communicating with people, and then I'm experiencing different like people. And that was really nice. I reviewed development applications, all sorts of different things. So from like smaller buildings or like literally someone putting a shed into their backyard to like a 36-story high rise that's like developers want to put in.
That's crazy.
So it gave me a lot of scope. And with that job, I not only worked with like the development side of things, but also the policy and research. So I think it really gave me just like a full round good co-op experience. And then my coming up co-op is with the city of Guelph, and it's that same student planning job that I did with city of Waterloo, just in a completely different city. So it's new challenges, different perspectives.
Yeah, very
That's
cool.
awesome.
And I'm sure every city is so different. So like,
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
some similarities for sure, but
Okay.
it's like unique learning the nuances of each city and what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's awesome.
it has been like a wide variety of co-ops that I did. So like I started off with like the Accelerate program. It was like the first year university like started the Accelerate, and in like 2021. And so in that program, I specifically worked with Deloitte, where we were given like a real life problem, and we were supposed to present them with a solution in a group of like 4 to 5 people. So it was like kind of a fun experience. Like you get to meet with new people and also the business leaders who are like representing Deloitte. My second co-op was Traffic Tech. It's like a logistics firm where I basically was at the position of logistics apprentice, and over there it was basically like a client facing role where our clients were like Amazon, Freshco, and No Frills, like all grocery stores and like different kind of companies, where we're supposed to provide them with like transits to transfer like products from one place to another. So we were like supposed to like bargain with like trucking companies and like different kind of companies like within the organization. And my third co-op was like at a law firm called Goodwin's LLP. So there I worked as a finance coordinator, and I work with like different kind of departments like AR, AP, financial analyst, and like different departments basically within finance. And I used to work on like AR, like processing transactions and like other kind of transactions like we were need to process like within finance. And my most recent co-op is like at Deloitte as a financial analyst. It was like 8-month co-op from last fall to this winter, where I work on like month-end reporting and all stuff like related to finance basically.
Awesome. Yeah. And you mentioned your first co-op was with the We Accelerate program.
Yeah,
for people who don't know what that is, do you want to explain a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So like since you are coming from high school, so many students don't really like have experience. So like in order to support those students, university like started a new program called We Accelerate, where university has like tie-up with like different companies like D2L, Deloitte, Microsoft, and I think like Google as well. It was like a while back. I need to check like what other companies are there now. But these are like some of the companies with whom like they have tie-up with. So I know like some of my friends who did like in Microsoft. So what they did was basically like they worked on a project, and they also did some of the courses, which I felt that it definitely helped them to like improve their profile, because it will like add up. These are some of the projects and like courses that they have done like during that specific co-op. So these I think like We Accelerate definitely like help you out to like build up your profile, and definitely like help you to find like next co-op as well.
Yeah, it makes you more competitive. That's what I love. And I love that we have such a diversity here on like the panel, where it's like, Rake, if we take your, like, for example, it's like transportation and then like city planning for like 2 different cities, and then also working in Brampton. So a lot of things that are similar to your role, but you're getting lots of like in-depth experience and in different cities. And then Graham and Arnav, things are a lot like more spread out. You have things in physiotherapy clinics, you have things in like rock climbing, and even working at the university. So a lot of diversity there. And then starting from We Accelerate, going to Deloitte, and then a law firm. So I just love that Waterloo kind of showcases that we have so many different opportunities for students, and that whatever program you're in, you're not just locked into one kind of job. There's so many things out there, and things that maybe students don't even know exist. So I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask you guys, as co-op students, why do you think co-op at Waterloo specifically stands out, or like what makes it stand out?
I think for me, it's the multitude of employers, like the Waterloo Work System, which is the job application board and just basically the online portal for everything co-op at Waterloo. I think the relationships that we have with employers and the ease of access is really useful. They know that they have a good pool of students at Waterloo, and so that can kind of help to find lots of diversity of jobs, which, like we've said, we all have.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. Then there's also a lot of supports, like whether it's like workshops for building cover letters or like one-on-one support for practicing with interviews. I think there's a lot that Waterloo does that helps co-op students.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. Like, both of my employers only hire Waterloo co-op students, so it's really nice, but they also hire from separate faculties. So in my first job, I worked with a civil engineer student. That's not something we get exposed to a lot in our classes. Like, a lot of my planning courses are just planning students. So being able to work with like a different program or within a different faculty in like a specific workplace is really nice. It gives you like different experiences. I'd also say I really enjoy like the transparency Waterloo Works gives you about employers. Like, not only do they give us rankings on like how they rate us and our performance, but we can also rate their performance. So when it comes down to like selecting different jobs, I can really look at like, how has this employer been rated? What are their strengths and weaknesses, and does it match like my strengths and weaknesses? So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think like everything is like almost covered, but just to add up to this, I would say that Waterloo does give like the environment that you need like for applying for full-time jobs. So like now I'm looking for full-time jobs. So like I know the competition that we had like within Waterloo, so we have like already dealt with that kind of stress. So like it's now we know like what we are going to deal with like after graduation. So
Yeah.
I think like they provide like such environment like during your degree, like which you are going to deal like after graduation as well.
That's a great point. Resume building, interview experience. I mean, we already have several rounds of that before we even get into the workforce.
And kind of just shifting gears, I know we talked about We Accelerate before, but has anybody heard of like the EDGE program, or does anybody does anybody want to speak on the EDGE program?
It's basically for the regular like students in a regular program, and they help them out like to find their jobs like during summer. So they have like a specific portal on Waterloo Works where they can just go as a part of the EDGE program, and they can try to like find jobs over there. So I feel like it's Waterloo is not specifically for like co-op students. It like helps out for students enrolled in regular program as well. So that's like a brief that I know about EDGE program.
I love that explanation, because I was going to talk a little bit about it, just because obviously my program is regular, so it's not co-op. So a lot of students who are in biomed or any of those other regular programs, they want to go into, or at least do what's called EDGE, and then that way they get work experience, they get to build skills, they get to beef up their resume, get all these benefits of that co-op students would get, but just within a regular stream program. So that's really what Waterloo's like focused on, is the like experiential learning, hands-on learning, and it doesn't just have to come through co-op, but there's lots of other ways or avenues that students can get that opportunity and experience. So that's kind of what I wanted to chat about there. And actually saying that question kind of just like I had to go back, because I just remembered, Iman, I haven't asked you any questions, and you're also our co-op student. So do you want to maybe just talk about what you do in your role, as obviously this is your first co-op, so you want to maybe chat about your role and why you particularly like co-op at Waterloo?
Yeah, for sure. So so this is my first co-op. I do a lot for the team. I feel like I kind of get to dip my hands in a lot of different areas. I write articles for our websites and a few like sister websites, I guess. I also like help edit and refresh articles. I podcast, I do some like reports, so like I take kind of our performance and analyze that. It's kind of just like whatever comes up in the role. Like a big part of my role this co-op was migrating our website. We moved from like one website to another, so I helped migrate those pages. So yeah, it's just kind of like a lot of everything, and I really do appreciate that about the role, because it's my first co-op, so I want to get as many opportunities as possible, and being able to kind of get all that experience is really beneficial. So yeah,
Awesome, love that. And then maybe your next co-op will be an artist.
My next co-op is actually this co-op again, so yes. So maybe I'll be
an artist
painting in that one.
Yeah.
I'll do a mural for Waterloo. We don't know. Okay, so we have a very special segment today. We're gonna be playing a round of Never Have I Ever. So below your seats, you have some ping pong paddles. Or not ping pong paddles, they're Never Have I Ever paddles. They're specifically designed for this. And we're gonna have a few questions, and all you have to do is answer like you have done it or you have never, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So let's get into the first question. The first question is, never have I ever had a co-op job outside of Waterloo. Okay, also Dennis does not in co-op, so a lot of his answers are gonna be no. Okay, everyone else clearly has got to hear a little bit about your experiences. Does anyone want to elaborate on their experience outside of Waterloo?
Sure. So I worked at like law firm as a talk about that. So I stayed in Toronto for like 8 months basically, and it was like a fun experience, and like you get to like try new food over there, and like also like try out like go to different places and like visit new places over there. And apart from that, like living in downtown, I felt that you get to like meet some more people for like networking and like other things as well. Like in Waterloo, I feel that you can only do that like while staying online, but like over there it was like you were closer to like all the professionals like in the finance field and like in different fields. So like I feel that you can just go in person and have a coffee chat with them. So yeah.
Love that. That's awesome. Okay, next question. So never have I ever had a co-op outside of Ontario.
Oh, no.
Nobody's had a co-op outside of Ontario. Where's the furthest? Brampton for Eureka,
Might be Whitby.
Whitby,
Rock climbing.
Toronto, and then Waterloo.
Yeah.
And for me, everything's Waterloo as well. So yeah, we're sticking close to home. So then I guess the next question is,
Never have I ever applied to more than 10 jobs in one hiring round. Whoa!
I think not.
Really?
no.
So I had first round, I had like first co-op, I applied to 25 jobs and I got one interview. And I like look back at it now, I'm like, I felt so discouraged in the moment, but now I'm like, you know what, that just happened.
That's normal.
It's your first co-op and you're going into it, like everybody's basically coming in with very limited experience,
Yeah.
not specializing
Yeah.
in anything. So kind of take that risk. And the more you apply to, the better your chances are. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just gonna add on to that, like, I'm on the edge, just close to 10, but
Mhm.
definitely not over 10, maybe around 8 to 10 for a few of them. But I don't know, I've been selective, like I didn't really apply to ones, like especially for kinesiology, for example, there's definitely a good range of them, but like something like ergonomics, I'm not as interested in, so there's a lot of jobs there that I didn't apply to, so I was much more selective. But definitely earlier on in your co-op process, I think applying to lots of jobs, you will get lots of rejections. That's totally normal.
Yeah.
So don't get discouraged by that, but definitely just keep applying, and like I think getting the interview practice as well. Like
Yeah, for
whenever
sure.
you get that,
That's
very
huge.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just more selective in my process.
Yeah.
Really like worked on refining my resume, cover letter,
Mhm.
and interview skills.
I think I applied to like 50 jobs.
Really?
Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that first round. And I think all the feedback I got was, apply to as many jobs as possible. So I was like, okay. But I feel like the best way to do it is like really treat it like you're job hunting. Like you're still in school, but it's really important to like make it a priority. And especially I would really recommend like first round, like be open to things. You might be kind of set on what you want to do, but there's lots of room to grow, and a co-op that you might not think is going to be beneficial to you could be really amazing. So I would, for first round, and especially your first co-op job, apply to as many things as possible.
Never have I ever got my dream job for my first co-op.
Okay,
Iman?
well, maybe not like, I don't know what dream job really means, but this was, this job that I'm working right now was my first pick for what I applied to. So I got very lucky.
Yeah, I wouldn't say camp counselor.
Yeah.
My ideal dream job, but it was a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
stuff like that, like I definitely didn't like going into the experience. I didn't know what to expect, but I definitely didn't expect it to be such a great learning opportunity. And we had a really good group of people there. So like it's not just the job that you're going for the co-op, but it's also the connections that you make along the way that's really beneficial.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't think I had a dream job.
Yeah.
First co-op. Like planning is so broad, and a lot of like faculty and environment students run into that issue. There's so many options you can
Yeah.
go to. But I think my second co-op, I definitely had a dream job, and that's the one I ended up doing. So I was really excited.
Nice. So now you found your kind of dream job.
Yeah.
Is this still your dream? Like it's still something that you're like, yeah,
I'm
this
still
is
scoping,
this is okay. There you
scoping
go.
That direction.
Good.
So yeah, no, I'm
Sweet.
excited.
The first co-op was like during COVID, so
Yeah.
pretty hard to like find jobs during that
Yeah.
time. But I did like reaccelerate, and then like after that, like I started like trying to explore different things, and now I'm hoping to get my dream job for full time.
Yeah.
Since like I've like explored different kind of fields, so like I know like what kind of job I want to do like after graduation. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even my first job, like again, not co-op, but something that I just applied to like in university. It was like at Sun Life Financial as like I was working like the National Disability Support Team. So it was like medicine, but from the insurance perspective or side. It got me lots of really good like skills, lots of good experience, but definitely not a dream job for sure. Because I was very much like computer job. Just I think for me, I'm more like forward facing. Hence why I'm on the podcast. So.
Never have I ever had to sublet my room. Oh, no.
Oh, there we go. I mean, I lived at home, so.
Yeah, from one.
Okay. I do live here, but all my co-op is here, so I got lucky.
Never have I ever wished I wasn't in co-op.
Wished I wasn't.
Yeah.
So
I would just do the opposite.
definitely glad.
I wish I was in co-op. I wish biomed had co-op. That's the one thing I think. I wish they made the program like at least co-op available. Like it didn't have to be like co-op as a requirement, but at least students who, let's say, want the regular stream just so they can go to like med school or whatever, just in the fastest path possible, for sure, like keep that option available. But then for students who do want that experience and co-op, I think like giving those students that option would also be beneficial. So yeah, I wish I wasn't co-op.
I will say, like, my very first day, I think, on campus, we were talking about co-op. And so do your research, because I did not realize that we'd have no summers off after the first one, which I should have, I don't know, I was not paying attention. But I think for the briefest moment, I was like, oh no, but I would never change it. I would never go back, because, I mean, you get such great opportunities, and we still get a decent amount of time off, so it's all good.
It also gives you such a good break from school.
Yeah.
Like, I really like having that 4 months of school, 4 months of work.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
only do I like the change of atmosphere, but I think it helps me apply what I learned in class to like, an actual workplace setting. And sometimes it's hard when you're in school for 8 months and like have a summer off and you're not working, like you don't necessarily apply it. So I feel like co-op just helps me like accelerate my learning even more, like enhance my skills. So I
Exactly.
would never not do co-op.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Along the same lines, I'd almost say I'm more motivated. Like when I get back to school after a break from co-op, like I've learned all this practical stuff, and then I'm more motivated to like learn the actual technical stuff, so then I can keep applying it.
Yeah.
It's so fun catching up with your friends. Be like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Where were you?
Yeah.
So it's really fun.
Yeah.
Even Graham and I were chatting even just before the podcast. It's like when you're in school, it's like you don't really have any time off. Like even if you finish all your work, like there's always stuff to do. But in a job, it's more like clock in, clock out kind of thing. So once you're done at a certain time, just chill for the rest of the day or hang out with friends, catch up on sleep, whatever.
It helps with burnout for sure
Yeah.
too, because then you're not in school for too long.
Yeah, because there's always something you could do while you're in school.
Yeah.
There's always another thing you could study, assignment to write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, never have I ever attended a mock interview. Ooh, do you want to tell us about that experience?
Yeah, it was like a virtual experience through Waterloo Works. There's like a drop-in session for a mock interview. I think I did 2 of them. I think it was definitely one before my first co-op, like as I was applying. It's offered through Waterloo Works. You meet with someone for about 15 minutes, and they just kind of go through common interview questions. Like it's like they're the interviewer, you're the interviewee, you're at your desk. It was virtual, but yeah, good experience just to kind of get familiar with the questions and like a bit of the pressure of having interviews, because if you kind of go into it like blind, like your first time, it can be a little nerve-wracking, but once you understand the format and the types of questions, it can help calm your nerves and then just be yourself in the interview, which is what employers are really looking for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Never have I ever attended a resume critique. But I guess I asked my friends to critique my resume, so we'll put it.
I actually recently attended the resume critique with university, and I felt that they give like really helpful insight like on how to like improve your resume and like how people are looking in the industry, like in specific industry, like if they are looking at specific skills or anything specific they are looking for in an industry. So I would definitely say that the resume critique definitely helped me out to like improve my resume, and like then I applied for like some of the jobs like after that. So.
Both my employers have actually like reviewed my resume.
Oh, really?
I've done workshops with like other co-op students at that employer to like how to enhance your resume or like what to do on your resumes. So I didn't use the school, but I definitely use like past employers to do it.
Love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, along the same lines as my interview, I did a resume drop-in as well. And I also did a cover letter workshop. I thought that was really beneficial.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I learned from that is like, because cover letters is one of the biggest, like most time-consuming things I found with the application process. You got to write and rewrite for each kind of job application.
Yeah.
So saving those blurbs that you write for each cover letter can be really beneficial. Just like they recommended having a long document with everything that you've ever written.
Yeah.
So then all those soft skills like communication, leadership, those can all be in one place, and then you can kind of just grab one, and whichever one applies, you just kind of copy paste, and then you only have to make small edits rather than writing from scratch. I think that can help save a lot of time, because cover letters, it's
Takes
a long,
time.
It's a long
Yeah.
time-consuming
Yeah.
process,
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, never have I ever arranged my own job. Oh, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So like recently only my last co-op was like I arranged externally through LinkedIn. So like I started applying for that like when I was in my 3rd co-op basically. For my like 4th and 5th co-op it was like 8 months. So I applied through like LinkedIn, and it's usually like takes around like a year if you want to get into like good company. They start their application process like a year before. So I applied like in June, and then went into the interview like around like in June. I went into the interview. I applied in Jan, sorry, and then it was like the final process was ended like in July, and then there was like entire university like helps you out in like filling out the form, like arrange your own job form, and apart from that they look into the job as well, like if satisfies the co-op job. So like university also supports the external jobs like that you find basically.
Awesome. Never have I ever returned to a past co-op employer.
And will be returning.
Oh, there you go.
You're like
Yes.
halfway.
Yeah.
About to.
Same. Hopefully.
Which one was it?
I'll be returning to the city of Waterloo for my 8 months. So
Nice,
my
okay.
upcoming 4 months, they already had students in there for
Right.
a total of 8 months. So my co-op placement would have been taken. But I had such a good experience there, and I loved working with them, and they had
Yeah.
the same experience with me. So we're like, let's do this for 8 months.
That's
And
sweet.
it lets you dive into like deeper projects or like longer term projects.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
Love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully I'm also returning next co-op trip. Yeah. Okay, never have I ever took a co-op job I thought I wasn't going to like, but then ended up loving it.
I don't know.
Tell us a little.
Yeah, I actually, like my first co-op was transportation, and I really did not like my transportation planning course. I had no interest in it, but because I said I applied to 25 co-ops, I got one interview, and that was the one job I got offered. I was like, well, I might as well take it to end the co-op hunt and see how it goes, and I ended up loving it. Like, I didn't necessarily love the transportation planning aspect of it, or like everything in the job, but the team was so awesome. Like, a lot of them were past co-op students themselves, so they really helped to make the experience like as fulfilling as they could. And, and helped to like remind you that you are a student, like you're learning. It's okay to make mistakes and ask questions. It was a really welcoming environment. I think that's why I loved it so much.
Love that.
Yeah, I would say like my third co-op at the rock climbing gym in Whitby, it wasn't necessarily my most ideal co-op. Like by that point, I'd taken lots of courses like on like rehabilitation and like lots of anatomy courses. So I felt like I was ready to work in a clinic, and I'd already worked my patient transfer attendant job. So I had some patient experience. So I felt like I was kind of ready to work with patients and like the healthcare aspect, like physio clinic, something like that. But this job, it just kind of fell into my lap. It worked out, and it was really fun. It was a great experience. Like working in a gym, that's like another big aspect of kinesiology, like personal training, stuff like that. And there was lots of like helping people work towards their goals, complete their tasks. Being a camp counselor at the rock climbing camp, it was a great learning opportunity and a really fun co-op.
Love that.
Yeah.
Never have I ever preferred my co-op terms over my study terms. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but it's like, it's a nice break.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about school. Yeah, especially, I think I'm in arts, so we did my second year was still 2 study terms. And after those 2 study terms back to back, I was like, I cannot do another one. So I was very grateful to be in co-op.
I love just having the free time. Like, I make
Yeah.
sure every employee that I work for, like, I don't like to do a lot of overtime that I'm not compensated for. So I make sure, like, I'm transparent with employers. Like, I only want to work the hours that, like, I necessarily need to. So having that, like, clock in, clock out time, and having the rest of the evening to yourself is really nice. Like, I find myself, like, I'm cooking a lot more when I'm on call and coming home after. So, yeah, it's definitely a good break.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I find more time to go to the gym as well. So
Yeah, it's more free
that's usually
time.
what can-
Yeah.
It's hard to find that time in school sometimes, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You can focus on self-care a little more, especially and like friends and stuff.
It's easier to have a routine also,
Yes.
I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah. There's no midterms, there's no finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that like it's kind of mixed, like during study term as well, like you get to participate in clubs and like different kind of activities which you can't really like do like during a co-op. So
Yeah.
that's the only negative part I would say.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
for sure.
like I would say co-op overall, like it's better than like
Yeah.
study.
Okay, and our last question is, never have I ever had co-op change my mind about what career I want in the future.
I'd say kind of no, like it kind of confirmed what I was thinking. I've been thinking of like physio and healthcare for a long time. So I think that kind of confirmed being able to shadow the physios at the VOR clinic. That really helped me to confirm my long-term career goal, because there is a master's program with that. So I'll have to do even more school. So that kind of really helped to confirm it. But yeah, having all those experiences it's great. Yeah.
Very
I
good
came
transportation.
I did the program like not knowing what I wanted to do. I knew what planning was, and like what it necessarily meant in a city context, but there's so many options. You can go more in environmental planning way or transportation or land development. First, like I was really taunted or like not as like keen about land development because it seems very like over demanding, but I did transportation and I'm like, this is okay, but it's the same thing over and over again. It's like transportation is just kind of like a puzzle. You can only rearrange the pieces so many times. But with like land development, there's always something changing and always something new, so I kind of like that more to help me decide like that's the direction I want to go in.
Love that.
I would say like I've done my co-ops like as a financial analyst and finance coordinator. So like I felt that that's what like that doesn't include like a client facing role. So like I felt that I would like the blend of like client facing role on the finance side as well, like the financial reporting. So like I was like thinking of somewhere around the lines of like consulting like after graduation with like which includes like both the analysis of reports and like everything that you need to present to clients, and like it also includes like the client facing roles. I feel like in my co-op it helped me realize that I want to like go into that, but co-op definitely helped me out.
Yeah, I mean, I am in political science, so I always thought I would do something in public policy or policy analysis, something like that. But this is a marketing role, and I really, really enjoy it. So I think it's definitely opened my eyes to be like, oh, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and yeah, I'm definitely all for exploring all of them.
Yeah.
And I'll just add one more thing. I think it does also help find what you don't want to do necessarily, because I did also have thoughts of being like a school teacher, for example, like maybe a gym teacher, a high school teacher. But after working with kids, like as a camp counselor and at a rock climbing gym, I don't think I want to do that for the rest of my life. It was fun for a time, but it definitely teaches you where you want to be, like just with people, how you kind of want to work in that regard.
For sure. That's a huge aspect of it, for sure.
Yeah.
So that concludes our Never Have I Ever segment. But we just have like a few more closing questions, remarks kind of for you guys. So another question I had for you guys was, what are some tips that you have for finding a co-op?
I would suggest like to just not limit to Waterloo works and like try to like start applying like externally. And what I felt that like talking to students and all like that, they start applying like during the application period like Waterloo works, but I feel like applying like a year before or like 8 months before definitely helps you out to like find your dream job as well. So applying like earlier than like the actual like the timeline of Waterloo works definitely helps out to like find a job that you really want.
Yeah, I definitely think that like customizing your cover letters and your resume to each position is so important to your success. Like some students take on the approach of just submitting the same resume everywhere, and that's like definitely a certain like technique or strategy, but for me, like I found most success of like customizing each cover letter to acknowledge like what are the company's values or like what are the employer's values and what are you trying to get out of this co-op. So I think that's been really helpful, but also dedicating time to applying to jobs and not just like trying to squeeze it into your schedule every time. So like when Waterloo Works opens for us, I dedicate like the end of each day to apply to like 5 or 6 jobs at least and like make sure that's done. So then each day I'm achieving something, and it's not like it's the last day that you can apply and you're trying to cram everything in and find all these jobs. You don't have enough time to like cater your resumes and like make sure everything's perfect. So finding that time to like organize co-op like applications into your usual schedule while you're still doing your course load is really important.
Yeah, along the same lines, I think just getting on it early, like especially the resume, the cover letter building, I kind of prioritize like quality over quantity in that sense, like not applying to so many jobs, but when I did apply, I really customized and made sure I put my best foot forward each time. And I think just getting ahead of that, like especially if you're still in high school, like start drafting a resume, get some volunteer experience. It doesn't have to be like related to the program that you want to get into or that you are going into, like just having some job experience, even if it's at fast food, grocery store, retail, anything like that. Employers really want to see those soft skills that you have, like communication, collaboration, leadership, all those kind of skills. So really just customizing your cover letter, highlighting those key points can really make you stand out.
Yeah, and Graham, that kind of segues into my next question really well, because my next question was, what are some helpful pointers or tips that you'd have for high school students, ways that they can beef up their resume or just get experience early, so when they do come to university and they're in a co-op program, that they maybe have a little bit of an easier time trying to find a co-op?
Yeah, definitely going off of what I said. Try to volunteer earlier, get work experience, but also like employers along with the school, they want to see like what you can do outside of the classroom. So not just work or volunteer, but also like clubs?
Yeah.
Are you involved in any athletics or arts programs? Just anything outside of the classroom that you're involved in your community can really help you stand out.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel like in high school it's hard to specialize like what you're going to university for and like find jobs that your skills can like be beneficial to. But I would definitely say like become involved in what you're doing. So even if it's like a club or a workplace, like try to get as much experience out of it as you can. Like I worked 2 part-time jobs in high school. I also juggled athletics and volunteering. So like that helped me build my organizational skills like time management. So I also became like really involved in a lot of those positions. So trying to gain as much experience as I can from them to build that resume rather than having like 2 or 3 skills, like really diving in and like showing what projects I did or what I was involved with. So
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, I would definitely like just add up to that only, like everything was said. So like I would say like doing like courses during like high school, like courses like externally through like Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, and there are like different platforms where you can just do courses, and it will definitely like help you out to like build up skills that you are looking to like showcase while applying for co-ops or like any kind of jobs like later on. And yeah, like volunteer experience and all like would definitely add up to like your leadership skills, communication skills that will help you out to like find co-ops as well.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that like all these tips getting involved are so great for resumes and students who are applying to internships and co-ops in university, but it's also so great in general just for the transition to university, like the skills that you gain in clubs and athletics and volunteering and stuff like that, like the communication skills, leadership skills, team working, like all of that, like that is going to help in your regular everyday classes, your regular everyday life as a university student. So definitely like super important to start in high school so that it's a smooth transition into university.
Yeah, I like that as well, because like when you get to university, it's not just academics you're doing, it's like clubs or maybe like a varsity sports team, or like there's other things that are on top of your academics. And so in high school, getting exposure to studying and focusing on grades, but also doing other things will again help you with that transition and help you with like just time management skills overall. So yeah, I think we all shared like a really great piece of how students can get experience. And I think for high school students as well, like talk to your family members, talk to your teachers, your guidance team at your high school, and just don't be afraid to like put yourself out there, because like at the end of the day there's always going to be rejection, even when we're in university and we're applying to 25 jobs or 50 jobs or something like that, and we maybe hear back from 1, 2 or just a handful of them. It's always important to know that you just got to keep pushing forward. You got to always put yourself out there, and just keep paving the way. I don't know what else to say.
As you say, like build a solid foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah, skills as early as you can.
Yeah.
The employers don't have to like worry about teaching you that or like learning how to do that when you're in co-op. So if you have that before co-op, it's a super asset.
Yeah, for sure.
And that'll help with your interview skills as well. So
Yeah.
for sure. Well, that kind of pretty much wraps up most of our, I think, episode. So thank you all for being part of the episode, and having 4 different faculties on here is amazing. And it's really great that our audience and our viewerships are able to kind of hear all of your experiences. So thank you once again.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks.
We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Hello, Future Warriors. Today I am here on campus to interview current Waterloo students who are both in co-op and regular stream to ask them what their experience has been like here at Waterloo and give you a little bit more of an inside scoop on what it's like to be a Waterloo student. Hi, I'm here with
Aniva,
with Juan,
Ayush,
Sarah Mia,
Sophia,
Afia.
Armand,
I'm Veronica.
Kevin.
Matthew.
Are you in co-op or regular stream?
I am in the co-op program.
I'm in co-op.
I'm in regular stream.
I am in co-op.
Yeah. I'm in co-op.
I'm in the co-op program.
I'm in regular stream.
I'm in the co-op stream.
Co-op program.
Co-op program.
How do you like being in co-op?
I really enjoy it. I think it gives me the opportunity to explore like different job opportunities within my field.
I love it. I think it's a really great opportunity to explore what the workplace will be like before you really enter it.
Mm-hmm. Gives you a sense of the outside world while also pursuing your education.
I actually went to this school specifically for the co-op, and I'm glad I did.
And why is that?
The reason for that is because it gives a lot more experiences than I would otherwise, and as well, it helps to pay for my program, which has a higher tuition than other ones. So for me specifically, I made just enough to cover my next terms, and then I'd go experience hunting with my co-ops. So I lived up north in a wolf sanctuary. I did research for the government of Canada. I worked as a database analyst for Mobius that most students use, a bunch of stuff like that, and it gave me a lot lot of experience that I don't get in the classroom. So it really helps to round out my educational experience.
I think it's perfect. Yeah, because for co-op program, it's like it's a perfect one for university, and university students can have a lot of career experience.
It really prepares you for good situations, bad situations, overall a really good step before you enter the workplace.
Great. How do you like being in regular stream?
I think it's pretty cool. It's a lot of stuff to do.
I'd like the ability to just kind of focus on a topic and go really in depth. Versus the co-op, I think would kind of distract from that.
And how do you feel prepared for the workforce after you graduate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I fully feel prepared. I don't think we ever will, but I think it's very specific to my program and my choice of co-op. I know that I'm going back to a role that I can fully do with all the capabilities I've learned. I think it teaches you how to speak to superiors, and it teaches you how to learn skills on the go, which will be applicable whatever you do, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, co-op is a great way to figure out what you like and what you don't like.
Getting that exposure to work in a professional setting, even if it's for like just 4 months.
I feel like co-op has helped me narrow down kind of my field of interest in the future. Like in health, you can pretty much go into a lot of different areas. And I've worked in many different co-ops that are very different, and it helped me kind of narrow down like what I like and what I don't like. So for people that are not too sure in the future, I highly recommend it.
Getting networking experience as well. And of course, after getting networking experience, you can just expand outwards and find better jobs.
At least it's easy to prepare for the interview and prepare to how to communicate with your future partner, the work partner, and your future leader.
So co-op kind of lets you step your foot into the workforce world and helps you develop like basic skills like communication and how to work, like also like workplace conflicts, and just gives you overall basis on how to operate in that in the real world.
It is a very good job preparing me. One that comes to mind is I was working up north in Halliburton, and I was they were understaffed for engineers. So I was basically working as a full-time engineer. So I got to see intercompany dynamics. I got to actually get face-to-face with the owners of the company who are self-made billionaires. I got to run my own projects. I got to run my own research projects. And I got to actually design full components for an industrial line, make the packages, send them out to be manufactured, and then I helped with the install. So it really did a good job of rounding out what it looks like to be in industry. And that was I'm very, very thankful that I got the chance to do that.
I feel like I'm more confident applying to jobs and about the different career options that I do have versus before, because I wasn't really sure what the options were.
How do you feel prepared for the workforce outside of co-op?
I've been able to leverage my free time as sort of opportunities to get work experience myself. And so I've worked as TAs as well, which I think as a aspiring professor is a great experience for me.
I do a lot of volunteering outside of school anyways, like in summer and during. So I've found like there's also many volunteering experiences in my program where you can do that instead.
Oh, awesome. What program are you in?
Kin.
Okay, very cool. Do you have anything specific in mind?
I want to be physio, so I have to like go around and like look for some stuff to like shadow people as well.
Okay, very cool. What was your experience like getting your first co-op job?
Oh, I was exhilarating. I was in first year, and it was an uphill battle, but when you get that letter, all you want to do is scream.
Yeah.
It was super confusing at first, but of course with all the support and advisors and this whole initiative built around the program and Waterloo Works, I was able to find mine in the second or third cycle.
My first co-op job was Waterloo Accelerate. I was nervous while I was applying, but my first experience with the Waterloo Accelerate program was pretty good. My team was awesome, and I got to work with Microsoft AI and Azure, and the project that we did was super cool, so I think I had a really fun experience.
It was a little stressful because it was my first time applying, but I had a lot of help from my advisors, so I was able to do it.
I just remember being so like relieved and happy when I got my first co-op. And when I was actually there, it was a great experience. I learned so much about like kind of working in a professional field, working with other people, and kind of just what it's like being in a beginning spot as a student. So yeah, it was really great.
Very hectic. So I didn't get a whole lot of offers through Waterloo Works, which was interesting because everyone I sent my resume to, they're like, oh yeah, you're fine. But I got one interview first term, and it was also my first term of university because I was 4-stream, and then I ended up getting that job. So it was a lot of, getting excited about a job posting and then not hearing back and go, oh, okay, that kind of sucked. Yeah. Exciting about a job posting, didn't hear back. But then I ended up finding one, and that really helped. But afterwards, I decided that finding my own job gave me more opportunities than just going through Waterloo Works. So I'd still apply. I'd still see if there's any interesting jobs. But if there's a company or a sector that I really want to work in, I would actually reach out to the company and ask them. And that's how I got a lot of those cool experiences that a lot of other students may or may not get.
How do you spend your summers?
So that's a time where I try to look for part-time jobs, especially in summer since regular stream I have free time. I do a lot more of my TA work then.
I do a lot of like part-time jobs, or like I try to find full-time, or like waitress too.
Okay.
So
awesome. Very cool. Thank you so much. Well, there you have it. There's your inside scoop as to what co-op and regular stream is like here at Waterloo.
Thanks for tuning into this episode, Warriors. We hope you learned a lot more about co-op and the different hands-on learning opportunities at Waterloo.
Yeah, and whether co-op is for you or not, Waterloo has so many resources to support you in developing skills for your future and getting you ready for the workforce.
Yeah. And make sure to check out the links in the description to learn more about co-op at Waterloo, undergraduate research opportunities, EDGE program, We Accelerate, and so much more. And if you want to connect with one-on-one with current Waterloo students or get more student tips, check out the Ask a Warrior, which is also in the link in the description to read our student blogs or come visit us on campus.
Yeah, and as always, be sure to follow us on Instagram at @UofWaterlooFuture, and stay tuned for our next episode all about applying to university. And if you aren't already on our mailing list, be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with all things Waterloo.
And be sure to stay tuned for our next episode where we get all the information on how to apply to the University of Waterloo. We'll be chatting with a admissions insider, so we'll get some tips for applying and also how to be a competitive applicant as well.
Inside scoop.
Be sure
to tune in.
But that's it for now. And so bye, Future Warriors. We'll see you next time.